Remember Bakugan? Remember the toys? Remember the anime? Remember Dan? Remember Runo? Remember Mariachi Band? Remember Shun, the most badass character that everyone likes because he's literally the best character in the entire show because his attribute is Ventus, and that's the coolest one, and his voice actor is pretty awesome too? Remember how annoying Julie was? Remember Alice? Remember... Oh wait, spoilers. Hold on. Okay, if you don't want to be spoiled. Okay, gone? Okay. Remember Masquerade was actually Alice the entire time, and that was super weird for me because he was a girl of all that time and I didn't know how genders worked back then? Yeah. Bakugan has held a very special place in my heart for a very long time, and it's hard to believe that the show is almost 10 years old since it first aired on Cartoon Network in the States. It's time for a throwback! It's the year 2008 and everything is awesome. Black Eyed Peas, Coldplay, Taylor Swift. She's bad now. The Summer Olympics are coming soon, and the Wii is like the best console ever, and Guitar Hero happened. But if there was one thing that I loved, it was television. In between the years 2008 and 2012 were some of the best television shows in the history of entertainment according to me. You got Nickelodeon over there changing their freaking logo like they think they're so cool now. But classics like iCarly, Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, and there's one more that begins with an S that I can't think of at the moment. I don't know. The three channels that I primarily watched were Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and Disney Channel. But Disney Channel is probably my least watched channel back then. But when the year 2010 came around, I freaking own Phineas and Ferb! But right now, let's talk more specifically about Cartoon Network, because those were the golden days. With the exception of some other shows, but yeah, everything else was gold. But off to the corner of the room, there was one show that stood out, and was just for me. Bakugan, baby! Bakugan was a show about friendship and competition. And it was cool. First of all, if you at home watching this think that this is just another Pokemon clone, number one, no it's not. And number two, dude, everything's not a Pokemon clone. It works like this. You throw a ball onto a card and it does a cool thing. Watch this, it goes boom! Did you see that? Now that is a cool thing. And whoa, look, it has an actual form inside that ball. In Pokemon, the creature was inside the ball. But then Bakugan said, nah, screw that, and then the creature is the ball. That's what I found so cool about it. The fact that the creature was the actual ball itself was on a whole different level. The spears themselves took on several shapes and sizes. You got Serpenoid, who's like, you could do better than that. But then you got the badass ones like Masquerade's Hydronoid, and everyone in the classroom thinks you're the cool kid. But back to the show, the characters were the ones that drew me in. And based on their design and appearance, you know what each character's personality is like just by looking at them. Dan, the main character and the one who wants to be the very best that no one ever was. Wait, no, not that one. You got Runo, who can get a bit annoyed at sometimes with Dan, but always finds a way. You got Marucho, who looks really funny, I'm sorry. But he's literally just Tails from Sonic. You got Julie, who is my favorite character. She gets a bit annoying sometimes, but it all works out in the end. And then, in the distance, Shun. He's literally just Shadow the Hedgehog. And then you got freaking Masquerade over there, the second best character, and he has an extremely weird voice. But he's actually a pretty cool villain throughout the series, and I'm definitely glad he's here. And then you got Alice, who's... Oh. Oh. Oh! So even though these characters are probably less memorable than the ones in Pokemon, I still think that they have some pretty good design to them that makes them stand out, you know? So let's talk about the actual anime now. So you gotta remember that I was a stupid kid back then, and I didn't know what a good show actually was, and to be honest, I still probably don't. But Bakugan was different to me. The way the characters interacted with each other, the idea of two separate worlds, one with monsters and one with humans. But the coolest thing about the show? The battles. Just look at this madness. Did you see that? Now that is what I call a cartoon, anime. I was getting the toys, watching the show every week, and I gotta give credit to this man right here, Toon Dude Redux, because he has uploaded almost every episode of Bakugan on YouTube in great quality. Seriously, dude, thank you for giving me my nostalgia for free. So, I watched every episode of Bakugan on Cartoon Network when it first aired, and I went insane. And the theme song of Bakugan is pretty awesome too. I'm talking about the Japan one, not the US one, because the US one sucks. Just listen to the suckiness of the US intro.
What are you gonna do? The odds are stacked against you. Back against the wall, gotta give it your all. This is the final stand. The power's in your hand. Two worlds collide on the inside. You gotta fight for what's right before it's gone, gone, gone. This is Bakugan.
Now listen to the awesome Psychic Lover version that Japan gives us. Doesn't that sound awesome? So when the first season of Bakugan did eventually end, I was a little upset that it went by so fast, but I knew that it would return for another season someday. It's 2009, and everything is awesome. Miley Cyrus, the Black Eyed Peas, and Lady Gaga, baby. I'm telling you, this was when music was at its peak. And hey, I even watched some of the shows I didn't even get to in 2008, like 16. If there's any show that they should bring back, it's 16. And Camp Lazlo. But there was a very special show that aired in 2009. Bakugan New Vestroya. This was a gift from the heavens. The second season of Bakugan was finally here and the first episode aired on Cartoon Network in May. I watched the first episode live. And when I was done, I realized something. The characters had different clothing and looked slightly older. Dan and Marucho get sucked into another dimension and new Bakugan already? This was my first experience of a cartoon that was evolving. What does that mean, you ask? The show is maturing itself further. You would never see this on a type of thing like SpongeBob or The Simpsons, because every episode has the exact same characters wearing the exact same clothing, sitting on the exact same couch, every episode. Bakugan has evolved. There's new characters, new Bakugan, a different setting, everything was different. But it was still Bakugan, you know? I watched the series all the way to the end, and it was a solid season of Bakugan. However, I didn't think it was as good as the first season. Why? I don't really know. Maybe it just had a little more impact on me in the past compared to New Vestroya. But I absolutely loved it still. So, what now? I finished the first season, finished New Vestroya. What do I do? It's 2010, and everything is at its absolute peak. Fantastic music from Far East Movement, Katy Perry, Usher, Rihanna, Bruno Mars, Kesha, Pink, Drake, a new freaking Gorillaz album. Everything was legendary. TV was also at its peak too. We were all introduced to the two kings in cartoon history, Adventure Time and regular show. The golden year. And I also started watching some stupid real life stuff too. You know, I liked shows like America's Got Talent, The Office. But beyond all of that was a certain show that wasn't done yet. Bakugan Gundalian Invaders. Now, when I first saw this when this was announced, I was excited, but also really skeptical. I had questions, tons and tons of questions. First of all, what is up with that name, Gundalian Invaders? This isn't Star Trek, this is Bakugan. Why is it called this, I wondered? What could they be hiding up their sleeves? Could Bakugan really compete in a cartoon competition that also consists of two of the best cartoons of all time? I kept asking myself these questions all the time, and I started to question if this was even Bakugan anymore. 3 of the main characters from the first season were barely in this season at all. Dan's Drago was looking less and less like a dragon the time the episodes went on, and I noticed that I spent more time watching other cartoons than this. What's going on? Why is Bakugan doing this? But as I spent more time on the subject, I realized that this was natural. I mean, Pokemon switches out its cast all the time, but it keeps Ash. Pretty much the same thing with Bakugan, except with Dan. The show was evolving even more as it went on, and I guess I just couldn't get used to it. The game of Bakugan was evolving too. At school, these guys built like a freaking giant robot Dragonoid or whatever, and I was like, what is this? And they said it's from the new season of Bakugan, bro. It is? What is that? That's Drago? And if you're wondering why I asked what the Dragonoid Colossus was, guess what? I only watched 5 episodes of Gundalian Invaders, and then I just gave up. At that point, I was just forcing myself to watch the show now. I wasn't really having fun watching it or playing it, I was just there. And then I left the Bakugan fanbase. I promised myself that I would eventually come back, but for now, it just wasn't for me. Like Bakugan, I was maturing myself. I didn't freaking like it anymore. What was wrong with me? 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 What was wrong with me?
Every day I'm shuffling.
It's 2011 and everything is still awesome as it should be. Fantastic music from LMFAO, Foster the People, Cobra Starship, Lady Gaga, yada yada yada. 2011 was a fantastic year. But there was one show that, screw it, you get it. Bakugan Metanium Surge. Long story short, I didn't freaking watch it. But from the looks of it, it actually looked like it would have been cool for me. But again, it just seemed like Bakugan was getting stupider by the season. I'm sorry, it's just not the same without the main 6 characters from the original anymore. And one more thing I have to point out that's super weird is that Dan is 18 in this show. Whoa. It's just mind-blowing to me that it's all right there in the text, Dan is 18. Remember when he was 12? Those were the good days. So, yeah, that's Bakugan. Yep, that's right. After Metanium Surge, it's the last season and it ended in 2012. 6 years ago. It's crazy to me when I saw Bakugan was gone, even though I didn't even watch the current seasons much, but I was still sad. Something I grew up with just got stabbed in the chest. Less people were buying it, watching it, noticing it, but it just goes to show you that things die sometimes, and when they eventually do die, they either get a great ending or a horrible death that everyone wishes didn't happen. Bakugan got on the horrible side. I pretty much skipped to the end of Metanium Surge and watched the ending, and it was dumb as rocks. Basically, all of Dan's friends are throwing a huge party for him because he won or something. I didn't really watch that part at all. But instead of throwing a party with his longtime friends, guess what he does? He sails off on a boat with Drago, and that's the end of the episode. Wait, what? Why does it end on such an underwhelming note? I'm not happy, I'm annoyed and sad. But yeah, that's the fate of Bakugan for you. But one extra thing that I would like to talk about in this video is the official game for Bakugan. And it's actually freaking awesome. They let you create your own custom brawler, full voice acting from everyone in the show, and it pretty much stays loyal to the Bakugan game and formula. It works great. So yeah, that's it for Bakugan. I am sad, but glad. Bakugan was a thing that I'm sure 4 out of 10 teenagers remember nowadays, including me. Bakugan will go down today as one of those shows we all thought was pretty cool. Bakugan will go down in history as something we all played with at lunch and on the playground. Bakugan will... Wait, what? Oh my god. Oh shoot. Yes!